So, have you ever been to Florida?
Où c'est petit ça? Moi je viens de la France, je suis un touriste ici. C'est la première fois que je viens en Amérique. Tu peux pas me dire, toi, un peu, s'il y a un bon restaurant? Seulement, peut-être tes parents, ils connaissent une bonne place. Pourquoi tu me réponds pas? Tu parles français un petit peu? Moi je parle pas l'anglais du tout. Mais donne-moi un coup de main quand même. Tu veux pas me parler, hein? Tu veux pas? Tu me fais la gueule?
Well, we know where we're going, but we don't know where we've been.
And we're live. Welcome to episode 8 of Flyover State of Film. How did I know it's episode 8? Well, I keep a handy calendar nearby and I note everything that's happening. I'm here with 4 other guys that love beer just like me. So, guys, if you're ready to crack your beer and get started. I bet nobody heard it because everybody's on mute.
Oh, I got sprayed in the fucking face.
I had this down when I first started. Then. Okay, that's okay.
All right, we're off to a great start. So, thanks for joining us. I'm Jusef from whyIlovemovies.com. With me today, as always, is Brian from DVD Bunker.
That's right. Give me my proper plug, baby. I'm drinking a new one for me from the Boulevard Brewing Company, Jam Band, a berry ale, and drinking out of my Columbus Zoo novelty cup. Everybody support your local zoos. I mean, Columbus has a great one. I don't know where you live, but
you have a local
support your
zoo?
zoos. Conservation.
Yeah, Cincinnati has a local zoo, and it's awesome too. I bet that cup cost you $29.
You pay 10, but then the refills are cheaper than buying it. By the time you've had 3 of them, you're saving money. It's a value.
That's fair. Our next co-host is TJ Dex from the YouTube channel that you're currently watching this on.
Hey guys, I'm drinking some Brawler tonight from Philly out of some dedication to Creed 2 trailer that dropped this week. You'll see my reaction on my channel. Go check it out, guys. It's a great thing.
Awesome. And finally, we have Laura's fiance, Joe.
Hey, I'm drinking a vodka Red Bull like an asshole. Yeah. I mean, wait. Let's circle back, TJ.
Yes.
Never do a trailer reaction. You just
Joe.
No. No. Next week he's gonna be like,
"That's
hey,
a Patreon exclusive." I'm gonna
get a.
That's what's gonna get us over the hump. We need to double our numbers.
I'm gonna get a text message from TJ, be like, "Hey, so I'm just thinking, like, maybe we should start doing trailer reactions on my channel. You thinking about that 3 times a week?"
Well, also let's not skip over the fact that Joe, celebration-wise, in this episode, also Joe got engaged recently. So let's cheers up to Joe and Laura.
Yeah. Congrats to Laura and her fiance.
Thank you.
Yes.
Congrats to Laura for settling.
Yeah, she could have picked someone much better. If you're listening,
you gotta lock that down. You know, you're in a good position. You gotta quit before she realizes.
Give it 10 years. She'll run into him at a grocery store and things will go south for you, but it's all right.
So we are officially in the month.
Wait,
what? What did you say?
Did you just write our Serendipity movie?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. I'm sorry. Can we get John Cusack to do that?
No, we can't afford John Cusack.
We could afford John Cusack.
No, he's still above us.
All right,
maybe we can afford Nick Cage.
We could get.
But
you guys ever see that John Cusack Jackie Chan movie?
Oh yeah,
that's China. Adrian Brody in it. It's excellent.
Yeah, sure.
No,
I'll take your word for it. All right, so we're officially in the month of October, and as everybody knows, the month of October means everybody's obligated to talk about horror movies. So that's what we're gonna do today. As yesterday, actually, a gentleman came up to me. He's like, "Hey, Jusef from whyIlovemovies.com. I love your reviews. I love what you're doing. Could you please talk in your podcast about horror movies and horror franchises?" And I said, "Yes, thank you for being a fan." And I just stared at him as he walked away from my apartment, wondering how he got in here. But that doesn't matter. So my question to you guys is, if in the month of October, what horror movie franchise are you going to actually watch? I put some conditions to this question. It has to have 4 or more movies, and you have to actually watch them all, even if they're shitty ones. I already know the answers of the guys, so I just wanted to rattle off the options that weren't picked, so we can just focus on ours. Saw with 9 movies wasn't picked. Texas Chainsaw with 8.
Wait, there's 9 Saw movies?
Yes,
Yeah.
I watched them all a couple months ago.
I thought there were only. I thought there were only 8.
Oh, Jigsaw counts as 9.
But that's what I'm saying. I thought it was 1 through 7.
No, 1
There's
through 8.
There's 8.
Yeah.
Damn.
The Purge officially has an.
Damn it.
Insidious has 4. The Hills Have Eyes has 5. Hellraiser, unfortunately, has 10.
There's 5. The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah. The Omen has 4. Friday the 13th has 12. Final Destination 5. Exorcist 6. Child's Play, which is one of our co-hosts' favorite franchise, has 7. And Amityville Horror, according to my quick Google search, has 19 movies.
Holy!
None of those were chosen.
Well, I will say honorable mention on my part to the Friday the 13th, because literally every time a Friday the 13th actual date rolls around, I watch at least 2 of those movies. Me and my wife always do it. So we get through that franchise like every couple of years, pretty regular. So I'm pretty well versed in that anyway.
Yeah, I've done a couple of marathons of it.
That's one I watched once years and years ago. Never revisited. I'm not.
That was one of my first ones, like one of the first horror franchises when I was like in 5th grade or something. That my buddy had the VHS of like 5 or 6. You know, not even the good ones. You know, and you get started.
I think the funniest one is the one that is in 3D, because it's super obvious that they're trying to make every single thing.
Yeah,
3D
I love that one. That's where he gets the mask. That's the one where he gets the iconic mask. That's the one that features Shelly, maybe my favorite character in the whole franchise, who's like the kind of like chubby, awkward Jewish guy who's always doing like awkward pranks to try and get girls to like him.
Isn't that the one that kills somebody by pushing him off the stairs and he's in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
That's in 2, actually. That's
okay.
in part 2.
Now, did they do that thing that
TJ, now that you're talking, once you finish, go ahead and tell us your pick.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, like, is the Friday the 13th the 3D one where they classically just take the third in the franchise and just throw a D at the end and be like, oh, it's 3D. There you go.
Sure. Jaws did it too.
Yeah.
Yep, that's just like they might as well lean into this, you know.
But for me, so those ones that weren't chosen, for me, I went for like the classic zombie and like George Romero and Night of the Living Dead. All of the movies, there's as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus remakes, so probably about 13 to 14 in the franchise. They're great. From beginning to top, you get that classic to being the social commentaries from the original Night of the Living Dead, the Dawn of the Dead, the Day of the Dead. And then it kind of flips the script again, does the Land of the Dead, and those like goofy ones, Return of the Living Dead.
Well, when like zombies came back into fashion, George Romero was like, "Shit, I'll jump back on." Like
Diary of the Dead.
Yes, and like that
I have to say though,
ones.
like, I didn't see the original, 60s Night of the Living Dead till probably after the 2004 one, and I was like, this movie is so fucking good. Like, it's incredible. And I just bought the Criterion Collection. I watched it again. And my son's into like the old 30 black and white.
Wait, your son?
I have Criterion.
Well, I didn't. That's the thing. He likes like the 30s Universal horror stuff, like the old monster movies and stuff. And I was like, I went into it with an eye for, could he watch this? And fuck no, it's way too intense. Like legit, Romero's Night of the Living Dead is like still scary. It's still fucked up. Like it's
actually, I saw this movie back in Puerto Rico in the school that I attended. Every first Tuesday of the month, they let us out early because they had faculty meetings, and my uncle would pick us up and always take us to rent movies. So we'd rent 2 or 3 movies and then my mom would pick us up at my aunt's house. And I remember renting this movie because I didn't know what it was. I was like 9 years old. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. That movie scarred me so badly. Yeah. I was so afraid of zombies, of cemeteries. That ending when, spoiler alerts, they just kill him and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, the movie just gets destroyed. Yeah, absolutely.
Super dark.
And even like the one thing, like my favorite horror movie of all time is the original Dawn of the Dead, and just the the whole movie, and then the one scene where the biker gang goes into the mall finally, and to see these bikers get torn apart by zombies, the practical effects used this time, like that to me is a horror movie. You can always have your stalkers and your murderers and serial killers, but like just that scene of these tough bikers going to the scene, getting completely overwhelmed by these zombies and torn apart kidneys and guts. It was so insane, but that's my horror movie. Like,
so TJ, I have a question for you then. How are you? So you mentioned the original Dawn of the Dead.
yes.
How are you going to watch it? Because that is one that is not on DVD.
Unless you have it already. It came out, like there were, like it got made and stuff
copies
on DVD, but like you can't find it.
There's ways, unfortunately, to see it. I could tell you guys how.
No, don't say it here. Then it will use.
No, never.
Yeah,
yes,
all of our viewers are really going to be like, oh no.
Anybody who watches this show already knows how to pirate shit. They don't need our fucking.
Honestly,
I
that's
think
how
it's
I watch
important
it.
though to give a shout out to 2004 Dawn of the Dead. Maybe one of the only really good horror remakes and probably the best Zack Snyder movie.
Yes,
it's the best Zack Snyder movie, and that movie is fucking great.
That is an amazing movie, and the best use of that song. That was
the lounge version. That's so good.
In the movie, but like those like I like the classic zombies and the practical effects, but also like I love what it did like in Child's Play. Like as Jusef was saying, Child's Play is my favorite franchise, but it flips it when it goes like Return of the Living Dead and like Return of the Living Dead 3. It takes like a love relationship and puts a zombie twist on it. It takes like high schoolers having sex in the cemetery, and then a tank rolls over and then unleashes like a toxic thing over this graveyard. It's just that type of thing where it keeps flipping the script, keeping it fresh.
And the social commentary it has, especially like putting a black man as the protagonist, or the social commentary they have on capitalism or consumerism by setting it in a mall. Like it George really built a lot of nuance into what can be just a dumb horror movie.
I really like Day of the Dead too, in the with the radio station
and Bub.
Yeah, that's a fun. That's more. I think that's the like of the original Romero trilogy. To me, The Day is like the funnest one.
Day has a lot to. Day has probably a lot to. Probably the most to say out of them. And then also at the same time, they do with his like Romero's like thing. It goes like Land of the Dead, which people don't even think to even talk about, and then like there's like straight to DVD.
Then he did Diary of the Dead. He did a found footage zombie movie.
Yeah, Diary of the Dead was actually supposed to, like really good. I didn't, unfortunately, I hasn't got a chance to see that yet, but that's gonna be the one that I'm gonna binge this season.
Joe, how about you? What did you pick?
Oh, I got to go with my guy. I got to go with Freddy. The Nightmare franchise. To me, it's my favorite. It's so fascinating and such a rich character, and not every movie's good, but every movie has parts of it that are fun. The first one is one's terrifying.
They definitely like the creativity of the kills in some of those. Even the bad ones make them like at least worthwhile checking out for the practical effects and shit like that. Like
the first one is like straight up just a great horror movie. Yeah. And then you got to jump to like Dream Warriors, which I think is like it's more.
But I think 2 is underrated, especially as like LGBT representation movie. It exists in like this special space of like gay horror icons.
Yeah, 2 definitely has its moments, and I think that's when they try to make Freddy a little too jokey with that in 2, but
they tried. They didn't really mesh like the series.
Yeah, Dream Warriors is fucking incredible. It's probably it might even be my favorite one, even over the first one. I just love Dream Warriors. I think they really like fulfill the premise of what, like, you know what I mean, like what it should be.
I know this is a cliched answer. I'm a big fan of New Nightmare.
Oh, I love it. You are. That's like because that's fucking amazing.
And New Nightmare, and even like, well, there's so much to say about New Nightmare.
Wes Craven's a fucking icon, and he redefined the genre multiple times.
And I know, like, it's been said, you listen to a lot of podcasts that talk about it, and they'll say, oh, like, you could see him working Scream out, and then he, like, fixed it in Scream. I don't think he fixed anything. I think he made a great fucking movie in New Nightmare, and then just said, oh, yeah, like to get meta is also good, but New Nightmare, there's, like, 1 or 2 scenes that just don't hold up because they try to go more CGI with some of this stuff. in like the scares. Like
the ideas are still pretty solid, even when you do stuff like that.
Solid.
Yeah,
almost like when you go into the dream and it's like Freddy's like circus, and that's just kind of what I'm calling it.
Made Freddy really scary again in that
He's
one.
a
That was
horror.
really like, and from where he had been, because by far Freddy's Dead is the worst of the whole franchise. It's so fucking bad.
And then
It's
to
terrible.
Combine ours, Brian. Freddy vs. Jason is a blast.
I actually do really like Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, I remember.
I think that's still a legit fun movie. Ronnie Yu, who also directed Bride of Chucky,
the same
one.
Oh wow, really? That's dope.
Yeah, and that's a lot of, and actually the music was Graham Revell, who also did the score for The Crow. So that has that movie's got a sweet pedigree.
They correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they tease Freddy vs. Jason in one of the Jason's movie, right?
Yeah, Jason Goes to Hell. Yeah,
you see
a little tease. But actually, they still didn't get the rights at that time, and they did Jason X before we ever even got. So there was still like. I like Jason. Jason X is the most self-aware one. Yeah. No, Jason Goes to Hell is like probably the worst one. It's pretty bad.
I saw Freddy vs. Jason in the theaters, but I was also like
let's say how old?
2004, 2003. So I was like 12, 13. I was young. I mean, I wasn't 13 yet. I was a lot younger than that. But me and my buddy, we went, and we were like just old enough to like be there and like understand what was going on and watch it. And then in the early scenes, you see that one chick like showering, and there was a mom. It was like a midday show. A mom brought her like 7-year-old son. Seeing all the murdering in the beginning, she was cool with that. And the minute you see the girl showering with the boot, like with the nice
boob shot,
like real fake boobs, she comes. I remember I have a burn in my head. This woman just holding her son's eyes as she ran out of that theater,
bolting out of there. Like you can see the horrific murders, but not.
She probably brought her 6-year-old. I mean, the kid was young, and I just remember thinking at that time, even, did you think that was a good idea?
People are stupid. But before we move on to Brian, we have to shout out Robert Englund. Englund, right? My God.
Yeah, Robert Englund, you got him.
Am I blanking his last name? He's amazing as Freddy, and like he's just become synonymous with that character. He's amazing.
I'd like to propose this to you guys, since we picked this topic, is our last show of the month is on the 30th, one day before Halloween. We're actually getting like weirdly like 3 shows in October. Let's try to watch our franchises that we picked tonight, and then on that show on October 30th, talk about these films.
Mine is only 4 movies. You guys are fucked. So I'm good with that.
But
segue in. I thought you were going to segue to yourself and tell us what 4 movies you picked.
Oh, that's sure.
Yeah, what did you pick?
Finish. I actually picked Scream. Joe mentioned Scream. Scream 1, probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's scary, but self-aware. It's funny yet serious. It manages to balance that line between just a ridiculous premise and something that actually works. The tributes to horror classics such as Psycho by killing Drew Barrymore in the beginning, the cliches that they play through, like it's just wonderful, and the sequels are enjoyable. I mean, they never reach the heights of the first one, but they never fall so low that you're like, I can't believe this is a sequel to Scream. It sucks. All of them are enjoyable. All of them have believable villains, and each of the killings are fun. Like the deaths are always enjoyable.
Yeah, it gave us also like the next masked like killer. Like
there hadn't been a new kind of horror icon in a long time, and Ghostface kind of came in to do that.
Ghostface was everywhere. Halloween, and you still see people wearing Ghostface.
Has anyone been that for Halloween? Because
I have. Has there been one since? And that might sound naive. Has there been a slasher since that actually?
I mean, you'd say Jigsaw probably is one.
Maybe Hatchet.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hatchet. Maybe
Hatchet. I don't know. That's kind of niche, though.
Niche. Yeah, like Jigsaw to me. Like I recently watched the Jigsaw franchise in its entirety. I love the Jigsaw. I love the Saw franchise. I think it's a really good franchise. I never saw him as a that killer though. There was no the iconic image of the puppet to me never resonated the same as when you look at.
I think there's too much
Jason and
going on
Freddy.
with Jigsaw because you got Tobin Bell, but then you also got him with the pig mask on, but then you also got the puppet. So there's like almost too much imagery for like one thing to really stick.
I think, and also I feel like the logic behind the movie kind of fell as they progressively added more sequels to it. Like you didn't pay your parking ticket, now you have to kill your five daughters to prove that you were willing to pay parking tickets. Do you want to live? It's like fuck you, man.
I wish we were in a resurgence. I wish there's a resurgence of horror, but I wish there was a resurgence of like these slasher films with these like iconic people because Sinister had it shot. You had it shot. That first movie's I think really effective.
Still the ghost one.
Those movies have like too much mythical.
Leslie Vernon is the new horror icon we all need to get behind. Let's get up behind the Mask sequel going.
You know what's the issue? You know what's the true issue, Joe? Though. You know what's the true issue though? That they're focused on creating the icon. Like it's almost like they think about the character that would be like, oh my god, everybody wants to dress up like him. He's so cool. Look at the weapon he uses to kill. And then they build the movie.
Like the guy in the baby mask from Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, a great point. Everyone who played Ghostface had actually, for 95% of the films, had a very secure reason for doing so and being Ghostface instead of just being a Michael Myers or a Freddy or a Jason or a zombie. Like they had an actual like reason for putting the mask on. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Speaking of Halloween, I think Brian picked Halloween for his movies.
I didn't know if we were going to get around to mine because I know we're running long on our opening segment here. So I'll just real quick say I've been cynical about the new Halloween only because I think Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween H2O make a very solid trilogy on their own right.
Yep.
That being said, we've got our alternate kind of timeline of 4 and 5, and then 6 to its own extent. So, you know, this one can exist too. I'm fine with it, and it looks like it's going to be pretty good, so I'm excited. I actually think the first Halloween, the first Rob Zombie one, is really underrated too. I think it's just a standalone kind of tribute to the whole series. It's a fine movie. People complain about too much backstory. It doesn't have to replace Halloween. Just watch Halloween, and then this can be its own thing too. It's fine. He's here. Oh my god. I always want to. It makes me just want to do my Jamie Lee, where she's like, "Do as I say."
You know what? Actually, now you mentioned Jamie Lee. I did watch the teaser, and Jamie Lee has been like preparing for her whole life for Michael Myers to come back. She's an asshole. Why has she been preparing her husband and her daughters and her Nobody knows that she's the only one that's gonna kill him. Like, everybody else,
she's the only one who's been prepared.
Everybody else is gonna be sacrificial lambs, and she's gonna be sniping from afar.
They're bait.
She's an asshole. I haven't seen it. I'm already mad.
I love the original. I love the original
about Halloween, so we can move on. But it's iconic. I think Halloween 3 has merit. It's a really decent John Carpenter movie. It was just called Season of the Witch.
On our first episode ever, I talked about Season of the Witch.
So talking about Season of the Witch, which is disappointing to many people, Joe wants to talk about disappointing movies.
Segue.
That's a solid
segue. Hosting. Yes, I was thinking recently, and especially with Venom coming out, what's the most disappointing you've ever been in a movie that you were like really looking forward to? And mine goes back to when Spider-Man 3 came out, and that to me
back to back with X-Men 3, 2 years in a row, big disappointments.
Yeah, I told these guys also X3 was a huge disappointment. Not as much, but huge. Spider-Man 3 to me is still
X3 is worse than Spidey, but go ahead.
Yeah, as a movie, that's
worse. Debatable. I think X3 might be better than Spider-Man 3.
I'm with Brian on that one.
But the thing is, there's the difference between something being bad and something being a disappointment to you. So Spider-Man 3 to me was so it just like ripped my heart out and said, yeah, you loved Spider-Man 2 and that's still a legitimately great film. And you just gave me this mess. And now it looks like
I was a '90s kid, like in love with Venom. I got like so many Venom comics. I got the original run of Maximum Carnage. Like I was a total symbiote nerd. So I'm about to get hurt again.
Yeah, but you know what? I recently rewatched Spidey 3, and what truly bothers me about that movie, or not bothers me, like there's a great movie in there, and it's Sandman. Like it would have been a great movie if it was just Sandman.
You always see the Sandman formation sequence on lists of like great scenes in terrible movies.
Yeah.
You'll always see that Sandman transformation when he like wills himself into being. That's a really great, like powerful scene trapped in the middle of a dumb movie.
I actually, people usually like give him credit or everything. It's cool. I actually give Sam Raimi all the shit for that movie because he's the one who basically instead of like working with the studios and whatnot, he self-sabotaged it by being like, yeah, I know like went on a date with Todd Hamilton, that 70s show kid is Chris,
I like Topher Grace. He's just miscast.
No,
like, he's not Eddie Brock.
But he purposely miscast him. And then Sandman is a good storyline, but I still hate how they try tying it to his like origin of Uncle Ben.
It's the Batman '89 thing where they feel the need to like tie the Joker to Bruce Wayne's parents being killed. Like, just let the whole story play out. It doesn't all have to come together. Also, I like the Sandman stuff. I like that one scene a lot. But overall, I think that whole series has a problem where there's no real villains in it. Every villain is overly sympathetic. You don't really feel there's not like a legitimate bad guy. Somebody's either crazy off of drugs or controlled by their arms, or
Bryce Dallas Howard is the villain in that movie. Her acting, her zombie-ness nature.
That movie does have a great scene too when Mary Jane gets thrown out of her. She gets fired from the play she's doing. And then she comes out and she thinks the people on the sidewalk are clapping for her. And she looks around all happy. And then she realizes it's because Spider-Man swung by and they're all excited. That scene is so good. I don't think it's supposed to be a comedy part, but it's hilarious.
The best redeeming part of that movie also is Bruce Campbell as the maitre d'.
It's the best part of all three movies.
Waiting away the waiters every time Peter makes like a signal. He's like, oh.
It's just a bad fucking movie. But I actually think the Amazing Spider-Man 2 might rival how bad it is. But
Amazing Spider-Man 2 is really bad.
But what are your biggest disappointments that you've experienced, though, guys? That's what I'm wondering.
Who you throwing to? Who's going to?
Brian, you go.
Okay, I'll go. That's great. Mine's actually a pretty recent one too. Maybe that's just because my memory's not as good. I also think that I have this thing. Well, I have this thing where I'm pretty good at knowing my own tastes, so I don't see a lot of movies that I think are going to be bad. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, I'm pretty good at knowing what I want to see. So when I see something, it can be disappointing, but it's not usually like a huge letdown because I kind of knew what I was getting into. But one that came off the back of a great movie, maybe my favorite in the franchise, and then was just the biggest letdown. It was not quite X. It's actually worse than X3. It made me look back at X3. It's X-Men Apocalypse. Holy shit. I think Days of Future Past is such a fun and cool movie and like great use of the 70s timeline and a great I really think Days of Future Past was solid. And then to go from that, it's such a far way to fall with Apocalypse. Characters that like don't make sense and then aren't even used properly, and the worst guys. The kids they got to play fucking Cyclops and Jean Grey are the worst actors I've ever seen in a major movie. Holy shit. And they have like the opposite of chemistry. Whatever like chemistry exists, like they have the opposite of that. It's horrendous.
So are any Game of Thrones people?
Yes.
All right. So like Sophie Turner's she's grown into a really good actress on Game of Thrones, I think. Like,
she has one note. It's very note.
It's one note, but she's shown some stuff, and I think she's good. In that movie, she has the no.
She's like reading off cue cards. What? It's that bad. Like I'm
gonna be honest. I didn't
the fucking trailer for Dark Phoenix.
Right, Jusef,
and she had one line, and it was awful.
I
It's
didn't even,
not.
I didn't even see that movie because I think Days of Future Past sucks.
Oh,
What?
fuck you.
No, that movie's
Days of
great.
Future Past is excellent. That's an excellent
It
X-Men
makes
movie.
no
It
fucking
cleaned
sense.
up a really bad franchise. I give it that.
Yeah, it tightened up a franchise. It makes sense. It totally ties everything together.
Nope, it does not. It sucked. I did not like it at all. And when I saw what they were doing with the time jump, and especially like I know a lot of people are like making fun of like the 12-year gap between, because the new movie The Dark Phoenix is coming out in, then it's based in the 90s, but the
Right.
new
They're
original
supposed to
movie.
turn into Ian McKellen in 12 years.
But what bothers me is like they haven't aged in 30 years. That's my issue. Like the first movie is in the 60s and now this is in the 90s, and McAvoy only lost hair, and
I don't have an
and then Magneto looks exactly the same. Maybe he has a little bit more wrinkles in the side, but
I don't
he's
have any-
identical for 30 years past.
See, I don't have an issue with when Fox.
I haven't liked that.
I think it's fine. Like you can wash that away with the kind of Days of Future Past reboot answer. You can be like, this is kind of a different timeline, so things
they
are
wanna
going. That's
connect
why you got a different age Nightcrawler. That's why you got new.
We're missing the big.
That can all be kind of wiped away.
We're missing the biggest disappointment about this film, which was one of the best parts about the animated series. Probably the best thing, the one thing that got us all into this film. One, they wasted Apocalypse,
and Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse too. Like you had a good actor
who plays the character. You could have had the same guy who played William Strike. You could have had an old gentleman with a gravitas. I hate to use that goddamn word, and just a fucking force of nature when he's on film. Oscar Isaac is a great actor, but that guy looked like a dude with a bunch of clay on his face. It's not.
It looked like a Power
it did
Ranger
not look
villain.
good, especially when you compare it to what they did with Thanos and how good they can make a character who should be ridiculous. You know what I mean, and how awesome it can be. Like,
I mean, I honestly haven't really liked an X-Men movie since X2, and
I don't. I think X2 is a great movie for its time, but when you hold it up against modern comic book movies, it's very slow. The pacing is not good in that one. It needs tightened up with it needs at least one big action set piece in the middle to kind of like move it along a little bit.
And I know it's technically a one-shot type of movie, but coming off Logan to just jump back into the same bullshit of Dark Phoenix just feels like we're taking a step back instead of moving forward.
Well, that's another thing. There's other X-Men stories to tell.
Yes.
Like the Dark Phoenix is not the be-all, end-all of the X-Men franchise.
Well, it's tough because a lot of them also coincide with the wider Marvel universe, but also with that,
I'm excited for that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on the note of thirds and trilogies. And guys, most people who maybe listen to the show or watch the show also follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
They know that I hate a certain movie and a certain trilogy, and that's because to me it was the biggest disappointment I have ever come across in my life. Look, guys, from 2005, Batman Begins, to 2008, The Dark Knight, you got an complete revolution on Batman, and Christopher Nolan, to his credit, took Batman and made it something that wasn't a joke anymore and made a great film. So you got a great Batman intro, his origin. Then you got The Dark Knight, which wasn't very Batman-based, more Joker-based, but also Heath Ledger as the Joker blew everybody away. With Christopher Nolan's vision in this grander scheme of having a very grounded Batman universe. Unfortunately, with events that happened after this film, we lost a great actor to play Joker. So yes, his vision was hindered when he was thinking about this bigger grand scheme of things.
That doesn't explain why they wasted Two-Face.
When it came to 2012 and we got The Dark Knight Rises, I watched every movie leading up into that goddamn release date. And I walked in that movie theater and I walked out that movie theater and I cried. That was the biggest piece of garbage I've ever seen in my life. Look, let's talk about Christopher Nolan's
wrong.
Let's talk about Christopher Nolan. No.
I think especially when you compare it to the movies me and Joe just mentioned, like to say that that's on the same level
that I have on
I can see this is like TJ's personal choice from his heart. I understand. So if we're talking about like your own personal disappointment, I get that.
It is technically that's the question. Go ahead.
The question's your disappointment.
We don't
I just have so much. There's just
You can throw whatever you want at me, and then I will throw it right back at you. But for instance, let's go with Christopher Nolan and his porn obsession thing with IMAX film. We don't need that entire first scene with that goddamn plane. One, you don't got to flip the plane upside down. Do everything they wanted to do. You could have just had the plane, had your groups come in, your goons come in, attack everybody. The plane stays upright. You don't have to turn it upside down and do any of that garbage.
That was legit. Like
that's an interesting action sequence, and it's an interesting way to introduce Bane and like get a feel for his character. What he's about. I mean,
I was gonna be on board with you with some critiques because that movie's not perfect, but that's like an amazing action sequence.
TJ, they literally told Christopher Nolan. They said, "You just made a shitload of money, and we're giving you even more money. Shoot with IMAX cameras." So he did.
Sure, but you did not have to turn a plane upside down, have Bane do this seat jump thing where he grabs a seat to do a blood transfusion to a gentleman, where you could have done that when the plane was completely steady.
That's your biggest problem with the movie?
Regardless. Now let's talk about Bane, a Brazilian strategist revolutionary that was completely whitewashed with an English asshole.
All right, get out of here. You don't need to be hard with the source material of Bane.
Oh, well, Bane is one of Batman's best nemesis.
Hyper-realistic world, so I mean...
Catwoman, talk about that, Anne Hathaway and her gore.
I liked her.
Acting.
I like Anne Hathaway, too.
I like Anne.
She was good on screen. She was pretty badass.
Let's talk about Robin. Let's talk about Robin.
That was
that I'll give you credit for.
Okay, that's dumb. That was real dumb.
Batman in general and Christian Bale's 8 years absence for doing nothing, but then Harvey Dent is still having all these things and still the talk of the town. And Batman has a knee that can't talk, but then gets a robot leg and then kicks the thing. But also, Christopher Nolan's fighting choreography is garbage. I get in Batman Begins, you don't need to have a lot of fighting. In The Dark Knight,
Tim Burton's fighting was garbage too, so I won't agree with you with that.
Right, and one great fight sequence in BVS did not make that a good Batman or a good movie. So, like, you know,
I agree. It's not great, but don't lean on that.
It was Michael Caine at his worst.
No, I'm sorry. I got an issue there.
You act like Jaws: The Revenge didn't happen.
I shed it. You take your secondhand lions and shove it up your ginger ass because I shed a tear during his goddamn monologue. It was emotional.
Dad, puppy, and then he goes and has a Wernie Branca on the French soil, and then sees fucking Christian Bale and Anne Hathaway with the pearls on. Are you shitting me? What a garbage film! And that's my most disappointing.
Eat my ass. Just fucking bend it over, get some fucking hair in your mouth, and eat my asshole. All right.
Jusef,
we have a lot of
save us. What's your most disappointing movie, buddy?
I love you, TJ.
Love you.
So I could have gone with any of the Matrix sequels because that was just pure garbage after amazing Matrix. Yeah, I could have gone almost any single Tim Burton movie after Sleepy Hollow, especially Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
You know, when Rise of the Planet of the Apes was really
good, I was like, I'm going to go back and give Tim Burton's another chance. I'm going to give that a shot. Holy shit, it was even worse than I remember.
I feel like it's a lot like the Island of Dr. Moreau we watched.
Yeah, it has some amazing practical. The makeup effects in Tim Burton's are great. Cool, great production value. Looks excellent looking movie.
Especially the bad guy.
Real quick side.
Yeah, Tim Roth. Again, great performance in a shit movie.
Speaking of weird, with the practical effects, do you remember the movie Let's Be Cops that came out? Real quick anecdote. And he dates a girl in that movie who's supposed to be like she wannabe like makeup artist, and she has a Tim Burton Planet of the Apes poster in the background of her apartment. And I just think it's the weirdest thing, and I've never had a time to call it out. So anyway, continue.
That's probably why, because of all the only thing you can like about that movie is how it looks.
Yes, I'm sorry, I had to mention it.
But with risking internet hate or internet cred or internet whatever.
Fuck you.
I have to pick.
I'm already mad.
The Phantom Menace.
That
was fair. Legit one of the. I mean, I usually go into movies with a tempered expectations. Like recently, we watched Hold the Dark, and I was excited because I liked the first two movies, but I wasn't like extremely let down. Cut back to 1999, if I'm accurately remembering. I was 11 years old. I was obsessed with Star Wars. It was becoming my world, and thanks to that movie, it did not become. I mean, thankfully, because people that live in that world are kind of.
I think that one doesn't
That
register
movie
as much
just
as it did.
destroyed.
That one didn't register to me right away to think of that, although you're right, because at the time I was one of those people who like convinced myself I liked it for a while. You know, it probably wasn't until the whole trilogy was out and I was able to look at it all and be like, oh man, this is rough.
And
You know?
you know why it Jedi mind tricked people into thinking that movie wasn't as bad as it is? It's because it ends on such a fucking high note. That
Right. You got the big
song,
ceremony and all the music.
the song, the fight, the Darth Maul with the two, and you're like, oh fuck yeah, this was awesome. Forget about the 2 hours that I just wasted. This minutes were amazing. And
I was the target demographic. Like I was like what, like 7 or so.
I would say Yusuf was at 11. I was going to ask him, like, did you buy the toys beforehand or after?
Oh, I had the toys and everything.
Yeah, and I liked it when it like out like it's in that for me it was that same like category of like Batman and Robin, where I would say like at that age I would have fought you that it was the best fucking movie of all time.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought Phantom Menace was a shit ton of fun, and actually I didn't realize it sucked until I saw 2 and 3. And being like,
especially 2.
Oh yeah, 2.
No, fuck that. Like, I think 2 is better than Phantom Menace.
I don't really like.
There's that new thing where people are like, 2's the worst one. No, Phantom Menace is the fucking worst one. We all know it. We're trying to rewrite history. Phantom Menace is the worst one. It's actually useless. You can start the whole series at 2. You don't need anything from the Phantom Menace. All you need to know is that Obi-Wan and fucking Anakin have a relationship, and one's the master. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but how did you know that Anakin built C-3PO?
Exactly. That ruins the fucking movie, so you just forget that.
I can't distinguish 1 through 3. I can only distinguish the Sith one because I think I saw it in theaters. The other ones I don't think I've ever seen fully through.
Talk about that fight scene in Revenge of the Sith. That's the most dancey fucking bullshit fight I've ever seen. It looks like trash.
One? The end one?
The end one with... I do like the... Now, to be fair, I do like the Yoda Emperor fight. But the whole thing with Anakin and Obi-Wan...
I didn't like that. Yeah.
Right, hey, everybody. Welcome to our Star Wars podcast.
We barely
spent 4 minutes discussing Star Wars. Yeah, real great.
Very cool.
How about we continue this disappointing thread with biopics centered around musicals?
Ooh.
Oh,
is
yeah,
that based
my
on
thing, right? This is what I was going to talk about.
Ooh, wow.
So cool.
Was it the trailer for Rocket Man came out?
Yeah,
which is an Elton John biopic, and also we've got the Bohemian Rhapsodies coming out, so we've seen a couple trailers for that now. Personally, like, I'm getting like, maybe it's just because I'm old and I've seen so many now, but fucking music biopics are just so boring and formulaic, especially when they're produced by the people who are there about, because then they're just these cookie cutter hand jobs. They just kiss the dude's ass, and even if the person has struggles, it always works out that it was good in the long run and blah 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 blah. I'm just so fucking sick of it. Everybody was pissing their pants over Straight out of Compton, and that was the most like clean, glassy-eyed, look back through rose-colored glasses jerk off session I have seen in so fucking long. So I wanted to get that off my chest, but then I did want to shout out some ones that I think are good and that I like. Like, I really enjoyed Ray. I think Ray is a pretty solid musical bio, and it was one of the few times that I cared about somebody getting the Oscar. I was like, he deserves to win the Oscar. That's an amazing performance. He transformed into Ray Charles. I think that is the kind of thing that deserves recognition. So that was one I just wanted to talk about. You guys got any musical biopics? I know you was going to say La Bamba. I mean, clearly.
Actually, it's Selena. Don't be Selena specific.
So it's funny because I was going to mention them like being horrible movies, especially like they pit a Filipino to play a Latino, but you know, whatever. We all came from an island and we have sunburned skin, so it counts.
You can just mix and match. Hey, Australians play Americans all the time. You don't see me complaining.
Hey, they picked a British man to play fucking Mario.
So
not even Italian. So
an English guy
and a Mexican to play.
Yeah, an English guy and a Mexican.
when you first said biopics, I thought you were like talking in biopics in general, and I tend to not like biopics at all because, especially when there is like a full life story. I
Like
prefer a biopic that is like an event in the life.
like the
I'm fine with
Mandela
that.
one.
I like
What?
Lincoln. I liked
was
Lincoln,
awful.
where it's
Yes,
just
that's
that
what I
really
was trying to say.
small,
Like
tight
when
story about
when
like a
it's
certain time in his life. I enjoyed
yeah,
that. Although they
I
still
enjoy
did
that
have
type
to
of
get in
movie.
their little, well, I'm off to the theater. And
Yeah,
Well, the last
I got
time
my
Spielberg
tickets.
cared,
I heard it's
too.
gonna blow my head. So I just get bored with them, and especially if I can just read a book that is like,
or a good documentary. Like I
yeah,
Yeah.
always think like I'd much rather watch a really good documentary about somebody.
yeah. And the exceptions are like movies like Raging Bull, which is like a fictionalized version of the story, or Goodfellas, or even
Yeah.
the Social Network.
Hell,
Is
even the
another.
even the even the TV show Glow, right? Like none of that shit happened.
Sure, that's true. And American Splendor is another. It's a
That's
big
phenomenal.
exception.
That's
Because
phenomenal.
they had Harvey, and it was based on the comic books of Harvey, which is, But since you center down to musicals, I kind of cheated. I picked The Pianist. Technically, it's about concert pianist that is thrown into the Holocaust. I know it's a little bit controversial because it's a Roman Polanski
Yeah.
movie. But Adrian Brody's performance, circling back to what Brian said, that performance was worth an Oscar. Like he was haunting. It was heartbreaking to watch
Did
that
anybody
movie,
see
and it
the
was.
James Brown one with Chadwick Boseman? That's one I always
Yeah.
I
wanted to
haven't seen
check
that
out
one.
and I never got
You
to.
know what? It's good, but it does do that thing where they scale through the whole life.
Yeah, I
Where
don't like
I'd
that.
say it's a good movie and the performance is like strong, but it's too broad a lot of the times. But
He does
like
nail. Yeah, he does nail
it's
it.
not a bad movie. Like they do tell you, like, yeah, James Brown was a fucking sociopath.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but overall, I don't know. Hopefully I don't step on toes. But overall, like music bios are horrible. Like Notorious, Selena, The
I like.
Runaways, The Doors, La Bamba,
All right,
and
so
Meatloaf.
you
Like fuck you.
mentioned the Doors. A big Doors fan. I've read a ton of biographies on Jim Morrison, and that's
Yeah, I love
actually
eighth grade poetry too.
actually I was obsessed with him in the eighth grade. That's why I've read all those things. It's
I
not even
painted. I
not
painted
even
him
a
in the
joke. I
tree.
literally read like several. I was like, but I really enjoy the Doors, and that movie. And this wasn't my pick at all. And because I know people who like that movie, that's one of the examples of I think it's pretty fucking shitty. And they like a lot of Oliver Stone's movies, he takes a lot of liberties in someone's life.
Yeah, I don't
Ah,
believe
but
it's another
even
exception.
though JFK is total bullshit, I love that movie though.
Yeah,
But
Double
I
and
will say
JFK. That's
this
true.
about the Doors movie: the one benefit though is it's casted perfectly,
Yeah,
except
but
for
Val Kilmer sucks.
Meg Ryan as his as Pamela Morrison. I mean, she looks like him. She was just a little too like play the role a little too conservative. Like that movie's casted very well, but as a movie, and if you know anything about like the life of Jim Morrison and the Doors, it's not even that it's clean; it's just not good. But that's not my pick. But
You know what,
continue.
Joe?
Sorry.
But I
What
know.
is your pick, Joe?
Wait, no, Joe. I know it's not your pick, but that's kind of you're kind of telling me why it's bad. So I have to know about the Doors to fully appreciate the
Yes,
movie.
because
The reason why I'm watching the movie is because I have no
yeah.
fucking clue about
Just
the
go
Doors.
watch Any Given Sunday and don't worry about truth or reality.
So
That's
like
true.
the people like that I know that have seen that movie particularly like dig it. It's a fun, fine movie. My
What's yours,
pick,
Joe?
and I know a lot of people disagree with my pick now, but I'm a huge sucker for Walk the Line. And that goes in, but that goes
I
into
think
like
maybe because I liked Ray and then Walk the Line came out and I felt it hit so many of the same notes that I was just kind of like a little bored by it, you know?
yeah, but for me, it hits
And
that
I
same
always Reese
thing.
Witherspoon is my number one pick for did not deserve her Oscar. That's a horseshit Oscar.
I forget she won the on, but it's one of those movies that I find that they didn't they showed his life up to it, but then they stopped and just told the love story, and I think it's one of the better love stories on film.
But you know what, Joe? I recently was in Nashville. Yeehaw! And I went to the Johnny Cash Museum, And there's like a tiny corner in where they mention his movies, and that movie, and I went like, oh yeah, that movie exists. It's the type of movie you just
The
simply
best
forget.
thing to come out of that movie is Walk Hard, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
a fucking
Walk Hard.
amazing movie. Like maybe the best unsung Judd Apatow production of
That's
like
hilarious.
that era. It's
We-
so good. John C. Reilly destroys, and he legit went out and performed as Dewey Cox live to the movie and stuff. You could have seen him out at clubs playing as Dewey Cox. That would have been so fun. Like that's such a great movie.
I'm gonna jump in here because I've been uncharacteristically quiet throughout this.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch a lot of music biopics, and I grew up on a lot of hip hop, and there hasn't been anything based around hip hop. One of my favorite albums ever is Nelly Country Grammar, so they're not gonna have that ever. But for me,
Watching on the Real Husbands of
Hey, I already shit on Straight Outta Compton. What do you want, man?
yeah, Brian, that's pretty controversial.
that was a
Actually,
fine movie.
Yeah, I know that's a hot take because
Well,
I know
I shit it on Notorious.
Yeah, Notorious isn't that great, but I want to
get,
talk about
8
a
Mile.
movie that's based about a fake band because you brought up Dewey Cox. Because one of my favorite movies, directed by one of the greatest actors ever, Tom Hanks, That Thing You Do.
Ooh, that movie's phenomenal.
If that was a real band,
I thought you were about to talk about Spinal Tap.
yeah, the one hit.
Yeah, me too.
The O-Meters.
Those are my type of music biopics, like Almost Famous, where it's loosely based on something, but not really. It's just like a nice pull on the one hit wonder or some band that made its thing off of someone writing about it. Like those type of things I enjoy. But other than that, like I have a weird, guilty movie thing that with Jersey Boys. I know it's a garbage film. I know they use the actors from the play, but I like Jersey Boys. I like the music. So like that, like I like Jersey Boys and shit.
Frankie Valley of the Four Seasons is in my blood, buddy.
Yeah, so
But I don't like that movie, but it's in my blood.
Oh, word. But like I love the music, but like of course I know the music is garbage, but like That Thing You Do, if I had to talk about any type of music biopics of any type of nature, even if it's real or not, is that. That's all I got.
Talking about anything. What's up, TJ, with your question about questions?
Yes, so I want to play a game, guys. It just came recently that I'm going to be the next guest on Fan Fiction on October 21st.
Thanks to me.
So we've been trying to get our own show going. Brian is up for the championship against Kimber. So I want to warm him up against two not so great opponents. So I figured him, there's Jusef and Joe in the 3-2-1 battle is what I'm calling it, because I gave these guys a mystery pick. I had them pick numbers, and they all got a certain thing. So with that, Joe got the Quaid brothers, Randy and Dennis Quaid, Loch Ness Monster, and Michael Bay as his producer. Now, I wanted all these guys to pitch films about horror movies because it is October. So Joe got that. Jusef got the Baldwins. Alec and Steven, I believe, the Jersey Devil and Joel Schumacher. And Brian got the Wayans brothers, Damon and Marlon, Bigfoot, and Roland Emmerich.
Or Sean and Marlon.
Whoever you want. If you
Wayans brothers, am I using?
No, it was the scary movie Wayans.
Okay, Sean and Marlon. Okay.
Sean, yeah.
Yes. So with
and Damon
that,
in there.
having
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Yeah, you guys are having 2 minutes to pitch your movie, and I'm going to give you 4 minutes to battle. But before we begin, Joe, will you pick a number between 1 and 3?
2.
More numbers.
Brian, will you pick a number between 1 and 3?
I'm always number 1, baby.
So
I like that I don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice, all right, Jusef? So
Very racist of you.
Brian, since you have number 1, I need you to incorporate Kevin Spacey in your movie in any capacity whatsoever.
No problem.
With number 2,
All
Joe,
right.
Yeah.
I need you to incorporate Tom Hardy's voice in any capacity whatsoever. And with number 3, Jusef, you have to incorporate Joaquin Phoenix in clown makeup in what capacity whatsoever. So with the very first round, I'm going to go with Jusef. You got 2 minutes, bud, when the clock begins. When I say, and I'll let you know when it ends, and then we'll go on with Joe and then Brian. All right, Jusef, you ready, bud? Let's rock, and you go.
So I'm not going to pitch you a movie. I'm going to pitch you a scene. We cut to a TV playing the show, the Emmys. We see Alec Baldwin receiving his Emmy for playing Donald Trump. we see a figure, dark, in the shadows, watching this Emmy show. He turns off the TV. He's clearly angry. Cut to a murder in the streets of Jersey. Nobody knows who's doing these murders. There's been a spree recently, and everybody suspects is the Jersey Devil, up to no good once again. Cut to Alec Baldwin walking out of his mansion, located weirdly in Jersey. I don't know who the fuck wants to live in Jersey, but he lives in Jersey because the real estate is very good as of right now. He gets a phone call. We cut to the phone. It's called Shore. He answers, and it's Pauly Shore on the other line. Bro, I can't find Steven. What the fuck do you mean you can't find Steven? I told you have to watch over him. You are the only one that can keep him at bay. The Jersey Devil, Stephen Baldwin, is loose again. That's it. That's it for me.
He's like a werewolf.
That's nice.
All right, Brian, are you ready, bud?
Hey, I mean, ready as I'll ever be, I guess.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Go.
Wayans, regular man, he's bringing his family home from a nice vacation out in the wilderness when they hit an animal on the road. This creature, this gorilla-ish looking thing, stinks, it reeks, but it's the catch of a lifetime, and Sean is an avid hunter, so they strap him to the roof of the car and they take him home. When they get him home, they realize that this is no average animal. This is Bigfoot, the legendary Bigfoot, played in full body suit, but with his face exposed by Marlon Wayans. So think like full-on Harry and the Hendersons suit, but then just Marlon Wayans' face. And he doesn't talk. He can't talk, just like Harry. So he just mugs all the time and goes like, "What?" And so they come home, but their home is in California. So let loose in the free range state of California, Marlon Wayans' Bigfoot gets into like the local dispensary and he's getting high on weed. And but the dispensary owner is angry Kevin Spacey, and he doesn't like what he sees. So he calls the National Guard about this crazy creature in his house. Or in his his business, his dispensary. They come and they trap Bigfoot and they torture him. But Sean Wayans helps him escape from the facility where they're holding him and takes him back to his people. Now, this is where the Roland Emmerich part comes in, because the only kind of movie Roland Emmerich makes are over-the-top, big-budget disaster movies filled with racist stereotypes. So when he finally gets out into the woods, Marlon Wayans' Bigfoot gets all his Bigfoot brethren together, and they launch a full-scale attack on Los Angeles. So this goes from like fun family adventure movie to like full-scale brutal horror movie, and it's kind of like Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Tim Burton. So every Bigfoot is Harry and the Hendersons with Marlon Wayans' face.
All right, pause.
And they're just tacking and killing.
Hey, cut.
Oh, sorry.
Cut.
They're murdering everybody.
Oh, God, nobody cares.
Pulling arms out of sockets and beating people to death with their Bigfoot strength.
All right, Joe, you ready, bud?
Oh, yeah. All right.
Joe, 3, 2.
Hold on. Okay. All right.
Dang, go.
Mitch Dogood, Dennis Quaid, is just your everyday Marine. Mitch has been relieved of duty because he loves his country too much. Upon his departure, he gets a call from his estranged brother, Michael, Randy Quaid. Old Mike had been shunned from the family because the world thinks he's a crackpot for trying to chase Bigfoot, the Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil, all sorts of urban legends and myths and monsters.
He's a crypto.
He got laughed out of town, but now he's found the mother of them all in Scotland. Mike calls Mitch. My God, brother, we found it. We used to think it was just a myth, but I'm here and she's a beaut. Mitch, I'm retired from that shit, Mike. The Marines knocked some sense into me. I don't believe in monsters no more. This mission, Mike, this mission will get you reunited with your daughter. Mitch takes a slow drag from his cigarette. Cut to a helicopter landing on the field. Cut to a helicopter landing on the fields of Scotland. Low angle hero shot. Mitch takes one look. Sorry. Michael and Mitch see each other for the first time. Michael has a wacky, disgruntled outfit on. He's crazy. But with Michael is his smoking hot assistant, Max, played by Ruby Rose. Low angle shot. Mitch takes one look at her, fucks her with his eyes. She's into it. Take me to the site, Mitch says. They take a boat through the fog, guns in hands, of course. Explosions in the background. Through the fog, you see it. It's Nessie. It roars. Cut to black. Nessie, a Michael Bay production.
All right.
Nessie is voiced by Tom Hardy.
Okay. I'm gonna give you like a half a point because you threw that in after your 2 minutes. All right, guys, look. So all these shows, fan friction, shout out to them. Movie Fights, not so much shout out to them, but it's a great show. They're very family friendly, and they really like want their fighters to be respectful of each other. Guys, don't be respectful of each other. Let's go crazy. So 4 minutes starts now. Fight it out.
So good fucking luck getting Randy Quaid to ever show up to set. He's he's outside of the fucking grid. He's not gonna
Randy Quaid has found
outstanding warrants and shit. You have to go film that in New Zealand.
The movie's never gonna get made. It won't happen. Period.
That is a shit argument.
I agree, though. That's a trash argument that boring people make.
My movie's never going to made. I like Baldwin's. The NBC's never going to let you fucking make that movie if you want to go with that argument to use his Donald Trump and
is on top of the world right now due to the Donald Trump.
Yeah, yelling at his daughter and throwing phones at her.
If he wants to do an Instagram live of his nutsack, people will pay to watch that because he's in the zeitgeist right now. None of your actors right now are in the zeitgeist. Nobody cares about it.
Yeah, but you know what? My movie actually
in show right now.
Nobody watches it.
That's bullshit. It's in its like third season. People love that show.
Have you watched it?
I'm saying I watch it.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I don't watch TV hardly at all.
Michael Bay's movies gross no matter what they are and who's in them. Massive amounts of money. Did I tell you that Mark Wahlberg also is in this film as his Marine buddy?
IP, though. You don't have an IP. The only reason why Michael Bay makes money is because of Transformers. Nobody cares about the Loch Ness
Every Michael
Monster.
Bay movie fucking makes even his modest ones.
People don't care about the Loch Ness Monster anymore. And when was the last time a Marlon and Sean production was actually funny?
No, Marlon and Sean Wayans. I am knocking it out in their wheelhouse. This is a family comedy that also plays raunchy, also goes to horror.
Sean is even retired. Is he gonna come back for this?
Them parodying a famous movie. I have all the Marlon Wayans and Sean Wayans.
When was the last time Sean actually did anything? Marlon is the one.
He's a successful producer now. He doesn't need to star in anything.
He's
going to come out of retirement.
The last
and
three Marlon
and Marlon.
And then you didn't even let me get to the part where Damon Wayans comes. He's the crazed hunter who's been hunting Bigfoot his whole life. And so when this melee breaks out, he shows up to save the day. He's a legit TV action star now. He's going to roll up in a camo jacket with a machine gun, Bigfoots and shit.
Have you seen the last movies from Marlon Wayans? Have you seen Naked?
My movie actually connects all your films.
Shades of Black?
He's not. Yeah, everything he's done recently outside of his Big Brother, which you're not including.
I don't think that's the thing. I don't think the quality of whatever this movie matters. I think this is perfectly in their wheelhouse. This is the type of movie they make. I tailored the pitch to the guys. You've got these outsides. You treating Dennis Quaid and Randy Quaid like a couple of fucking action heroes. Randy Quaid can't get out of his Canadian hotel room banging his fat old lady, and Dennis Quaid is in these bank commercials and his face is pulled so tight the thing's gonna peel down the middle.
Shut up, Brian.
All I need from each of you now is, in all these movies, one brother has to die. So you got 30 seconds to tell me how one of these brothers dies in this horror film. And then we're going to hash this out. So ready? First off, we're going to go with Joe. So, Joe, you start off 30 seconds. Which brother dies? How does it happen? Go.
All right. So it's the scene set. Randy Quaid, he's about to fucking undiscovered some little creaturelings in the thing. Boom, dead. They kill him. Dennis Quaid fucking gets into action. He's upset. He's finally made amends with his brother. Ruby Rose at his side. He's fucking there. And he's going to go guns blazing, killing all these monsters until he sees Nessie. And they have a moment. And he realizes it's not the man. It's not who he nurtured. It's what he's going to nurture by bringing Nessie back.
All right, Brian, who dies and how? Go.
Well, that's the thing. You're going to get to see Marlon Wayans in a Bigfoot costume die in tons of ways. He's going to kill as Bigfoot. He's also going to get killed. You're going to see him get machine gunned by Damon Wayans. You're going to see him get hit by cars. You're going to see him get stabbed. You're going to see him get shot. All sorts of cool, over-the-top, gory deaths. And then at the very end, the Bigfoot that was the original Bigfoot, the one that Sean hit with his car, they're going to have a confrontation, and he's going to have to kill that Bigfoot to stop this insurrection. And it's going to have that emotional moment like with John Lithgow, only instead of shooing him away, he's going to kill him.
Time.
Jusef, Brother Death. Who dies? How? Go.
Clearly, Stephen Baldwin has to die. He's the villain of this movie. So Alec Baldwin has been trying to track him down. He can't. He makes a fake audition with Joaquin Phoenix in his Joker makeup as an extra in the Joker movie. Alec Baldwin comes from behind, shoots him in the head. Todd Phillips leaks the video into Twitter because he needs attention to his fucking Joker movie. Boom. That's your end right there.
All right.
Yeah, but Jusef, how are you going to get that IP for the Joker movie? Yeah, he won't do the work.
Can we get a fact checker to make this less fun and interesting?
Yeah.
I have zero fact checkers, but Jusef saved a lot of his butt by throwing in Joaquin at the very end there.
Oh, I know my shit, man.
Joe, I can't remember if you used Tom Hardy's voice at all or not.
Yeah, he's doing the roars. He's doing the roars of Nessie.
Okay, cool. But also, so Joe, I'm gonna have to say that you're out. Unfortunately, you had the highest stakes of the horror film, but when you started naming creatures attacking, and Loch Ness is one monster. I never thought in this movie there'd be multiple creatures. I didn't know where that came from. That was
it's gonna be like
Joe, mute yourself.
It's gonna be like the Godzilla.
Joe.
It sounds like Kong Skull Island.
It's gonna be like Kong Skull Island.
Well, that director attacked me on Twitter, so I'm not. You're out. So go on.
Did he hit you with his long beard?
Yeah. So Brian with the Wayans and the Bigfoot. Awesome premise, the whole great story. I had the Harrys and Hendersons. I had you pinned it first, but I liked how you took the comedy to horror aspect because you did tailor to what these guys do. Where you lost me, though, unfortunately, is with the multiple Marlon deaths. By the end, the death between Marlon and Sean, the very last one, the stakes would be completely low. You see him die so many times, it wouldn't go. When it comes to Jusef's pitch, with Baldwin coming off doing a Trump thing for SNL or something like that, taking the helicopter, and Pauly Shore actually hitting him up for the Jersey Devil. Why would Alec Baldwin have a mansion in Jersey? Because he's Alec Baldwin. The Pauly Shore, the Steven being the Jersey Devil in the very end, where he would kill him on the set of the Joker film, and it would be re-released to get this movie any type of hype. Jusef, you win, bud. You got it.
I got a point.
Oh, Jusef got to score a point against me finally.
That wasn't behind it, but that was my best judging I could do.
I was the best.
Recount.
I clearly needed alcohol and foul language to win against Brian.
Recount.
Hey, who says every fan fiction's been a drunk fan fiction for me, so
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
So, talking about kicking the asses of Brian and Joe, how about we segue to our movie, KICKASS?
Nice.
Oh my God, I'm killing it. So,
Kicking ass.
Full disclosure, everyone, Jusef wanted to give up on this movie in the middle of the week and change to a good movie instead.
I wanted to watch Jackie. No, I didn't say a good movie. I said I wanted
to watch Tuxedo.
No.
I thought it was Mr. Nice Guy.
Any Jackie Chan movie.
Yeah, the Tuxedo.
Outside of Tuxedo.
Rumble in the Bronx, baby.
All right, so we picked Kick-Ass based on a YouTube
Rush Hour
video that I was
3.
watching about Nick Cage just describing all of his movies. And literally the only movie that I have on Blu-ray, because I sold off all my Blu-ray DVDs, is a Kick-Ass. So that's why I picked Kick-Ass. So what do you guys think about Kick-Ass?
Oh, I actually really enjoy Kick-Ass. I think it's a really fun movie. I know some people on this panel are a little too cool for it, but
Yeah, Brian's so cool.
I think I think it's always been a really fun comic book movie to kind of do it before like Deadpool now. Like I don't know if it's aged as great since when I first saw it, but I still find it I still find it enjoyable.
I think
I nailed it down pretty well on Twitter when I called it the Boondock Saints of comic book movies.
Yeah,
it's like something that you saw like when you were young in the early 2000s and you thought was good, and then when you rewatch it, you're like, oh shit, this is straight up trash, right?
I mean, yes, the best part of the movie is Big Daddy and Hit Girl, and that should have been more of the movie. They were really fun dynamic.
Full disclosure, I will say I rewatched it. It's not as like. I think a lot of the reason I dismissed it is because the third act is very bad. I don't think it's got a very good third act, but the movie in and of itself is not terrible. It's watchable. You know what I mean? But definitely it gave us Chloe Grace Moretz, and Hit Girl is a great character, a great intro for her, and I think she's a great little actress, and I can't wait to see like where she goes in her career. I think she's made some really.
Haley Joel Osment was really good in this movie, so like every time she was on screen, she did something crazy, blew me away. But the intro for this movie, I think, was perfect for 2010, where it has the voiceover and the hero at top spread his wings and drop, and you're like, oh, here comes that swoop, and just bang right into the car. Like, you didn't expect that time. So yeah, it is a product of its time, but it still holds up because now you're still getting the same amount, or if not more, superhero films. So just to go back, if you watch it every 2 years, it is somewhat fresh. There's a lot of things that are rough with it, but
I think also part of my thing is that like Super exists. I think that's like a way better kind of like version of this, and also Mystery Men.
I think it's a grittier, more leveled version of this. This one strived to be more tongue-in-cheek, dark humor. But I wanted to single out something before we keep talking. How Spider-Man: Homecoming stole the joke about Kick-Ass going down the street just looking for a lost cat, like doing super mundane stuff, but dressed as a superhero.
I didn't pick up on that. Yeah, that's a good observation.
Even just like putting his bag in like a back alley before he goes and messes with those guys, like just like things like that. Like there's things that you definitely take out of this, and like Matthew Vaughn. The one thing that I do give him, his action is super awesome, but it is overly a little bit too CGI'd. So like watching a movie from 2010 now and seeing like knives and like the flesh wounds, you're like, oh
yeah, and definitely the whole scene with Hit Girl in the with the
apartment,
night vision, like it feels like Doom. It's all real, kind of like. I was like, why wasn't that just done like Silence of the Lambs style? Like, give me just like some legit shots of that. It's just her firing a gun. Why does it have to be CGI? Like,
I think it was a cool concept, but the execution wasn't great. But that actually pushes me to the question that I want to ask you guys. Like despite this movie not being like perfect, and it has some grating moments, it definitely has more than one great action sequence. What was your favorite action sequence?
Favorite. I actually like the cell phone fight a lot.
Intro fight. Because that makes sense because everyone's got the flip phones and.
Yeah. No. So what I want to say also is this is at least the best movie we've watched on this podcast so far.
Yeah, I could give it that.
I think Mars Attack is better.
Well, Mars Attacks might be better than this. Yeah.
I mean,
surprisingly, the top two are things that I picked, but this is coincidences.
I was gonna say, like, even just, I mean, we're gonna get into it, I'm sure, but the intro that is an action scene in itself when you see Nicolas Cage shoot Haley Joel Osment in the chest with a gun,
baby doll.
Like that's like, yeah, the way he's talking to her, and he's like, and then she's like, you know what? Only stop at the bowling alley, and we get ice cream. Just like her movements with him, you're like, Yeah, that's Nick Cage's or Big Daddy's daughter in the movie.
Yeah.
Like just the way she's moving, talking to him.
That's the little details that I really enjoyed about this movie, and especially Nick Cage's like fatherly persona. Yet the way the things that he's saying.
No, he doesn't get any dad points. He's fucked up.
Brian, I'm gonna agree with you right now. That
wait. I'm not saying he gets dad points. I'm saying he's saying fucked up things in a dad persona, which is hilarious.
Yes. Yeah.
Cage, I love how when you read about this movie and I love Nick Cage, but you read about this movie and you just kind of hear Nick Cage came in and like overtook his character and said, "No, I'm going to speak in this Adam West way and I'm going to do it this way." And Matthew Vaughn apparently just said, "All right, well, that's what you want to do." We got Nick Cage
like,
for the
especially
role.
when he was Big Daddy, like the way he, like his whole deal, like how he talked and how he carried himself and stuff.
Very
he really bought into that superhero kind of idea.
A very underappreciated moment of this, and it's something that like Batman would do, is you see him putting the makeup on to cover his eyes.
Yes.
Like before, every time Batman has to go be Batman in the streets, he has to put on eye makeup.
Not when he rips his mask off in films, if you notice, but any other time. But yeah,
and especially during the sequence that Brian mentioned, that the CGI heavy, the hand, he's on fire, and that cadence and the line delivery of "switch to bird."
I also
good.
really like. God,
I never caught his name.
I like that they.
I like Mark Strong in this movie a lot.
Well, that's what I think one of my problems going like originally was that because I never saw this movie till it came out on DVD and I knew it was already popular. Like I didn't see it in the theater, but I knew it did well and I knew it was going to get a sequel. So then when I watched it, I had this thing in my head where I was like, this movie is structured wrong. Because it should end with a big fight between Mark Strong and Big Daddy, and then the sequel should be the revenge movie where Hit Girl goes after the villain. But watching it this time and taking that out of it and realizing that they made it not knowing that they were going to have a sequel, and obviously I know it's based on a book, but I'm one of those people who's like, you can change things from the book to a movie. It's a different medium, and also you can make improvements. Like there's things that aren't perfect about the book, and when you adapt, you can change them and alter them to make them fit better. So I would have been fine with all that, but like watching it this time, I did like that they paid off his ability to fight, and they had a fight sequence between him and Hit Girl, but I was really missing that like big showdown between him and Big Daddy. And I get that's a subversion, and that's fine, but whatever.
I agree with that. I've always said that it should have ended with his death because it's such a poignant moment, and
then that's why I think the third act doesn't resonate for me, especially when Kick-Ass shows up with a jetpack with machine guns. He was a guy who was like cowering in fear while Hit Girl murdered a whole room of guys, but now he can just like fly in and machine gun down a bunch of people without a second thought. I'm just kind of like, that's not his character.
But I also enjoy the fact that they bring her down to earth. Like through the entire movie, they're portraying this little girl like it's super impossible to stop, and suddenly Mark Strong just connects one good punch and
and that's what I agree. I do really like that aspect of it too. She has the drop on people, and she surprises them, and they like hold back because they're unsure, and that's how she ends up getting a lot of her like taking advantage. And then when Mark Strong legitimately puts it on her, somebody who has his own set of skills. It's real, like
it's her movie.
Regardless, though,
Hit Girl's so good. It's a great role.
Oh, when she's killing people and smiling at Kick-Ass, that's hilarious and great.
I also love. There's a moment that I don't remember just because I only seen it the one time. So there was a moment I really love when she kind of they have their first interaction when like her and Big Daddy show up at the house and they go out the window and she like blows him a kiss, and you can tell that she's got this kind of like comic book thing so much in her head that she's already like Kick-Ass is now the Spider-Man to her Black Cat. She's gonna have this kind of femme fatale back and forth with him, even though that's just in her head to have that. Like, and I enjoyed that little aspect of it. It's subtle, but it's definitely there.
But even that scene where she kicks the shit out of everybody, where unfortunately Big Daddy passes, and then his one friend, which also his group of friends in this is a great little ensemble of just like comedic guys that like have those little roles in films.
Yeah, I like Clark Duke a lot. Like he's a dude who super bad, and then like just kind of made a career for himself.
Like he's like, I think I'm in love, and she's like, she's 11. He's like, I'll wait. I'll save myself for her. Like, that moment right there, you're just like, that's like out of a comic book. Like,
they're showing a brutal beating. Like somebody's about to die in a live stream, and a girl hugs him, and he's like,
yeah,
yeah. They do now like the teenage like awkwardness down.
Well, first of all, when Kick-Ass finally reveals himself to the girl, this is the one thing I caught today while rewatching. Like, all the makeout scenes when two people first kiss, when they know they've had that weird friction, his first instinct with his two hands is to go straight for the chest, and they just like enhance on that, and it's just like a makeout, and he's just doing the typical teen thing where you're just like groping and just like, it's like they don't shy away from that at all.
And he's doing the typical teen movie thing where he gets rewarded for scumbag behavior.
Yeah, no, his tactic is dreadful.
It's her fault for
suggesting when he gets to rub that tanning oil on her because he told her he was gay. Like, that's some straight up predator shit. That's fucked up. He should not be getting reward. We should not be thinking of him as a hero for that. You know.
I'm despite this movie being called Kick-Ass, I'm happy that the movie after the first act is overtaken by Hit Girl and Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Because the movie
did any of you guys see the sequel? I'm sure you did as fans of the first one.
It's not good.
No,
it's a mess.
It's super bad.
Well, it's basically like Haley, Haley Joel Osment
is awful in it.
Yeah, she's in high school again. She's doing the same thing where but now she's like shying away from being the tough girl. She's like trying to like, it's fucking sucks, and it's also
the reason why it sucks is the bad guy, because Mark Strong is such a good bad guy, and
Mark Strong is the best part of the
film, and they put this McMuffin douche, and he's called bad motherfucker in this movie, and it's just horrible. It's a horrible.
Well, I think too that was kind of the last gasp from him. Like everybody's like, "Hey, the super bad guy," and then like, "Oh, still the super bad guy, huh?" Yeah. And like it's like he only had a couple bites of the apple, probably more than he even deserved. I mean, we all love McLovin. That's a great role, and that's a great. But like you're gonna have to give me something a little more than that, man.
I think his last good role was Role Models.
Yeah, Role Models is solid. I like the Kiss LARPing. That's really the part that say I'm a big Kiss fan.
Clearly. Oh no shit, Brian.
Didn't he play
what? Huh?
Did he play himself in This Is the End too?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, This Is the End is good, but I almost don't count that because everybody just got to come in and party and like, you know.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, Michael Cera in This Is the End is so fun.
The thing where he gets stabbed and he's still like, oh, and he finds his wall. He's like apologizing, like he's like stabbed through the chest. That shit's so good.
The best part is like the best part is when he blows the coke on the guy. He's like, oh, have you smelled this coke?
You know what bothers me about Kick-Ass the most? Can we get rid of having even like Tom Holland as Spider-Man? Like, look, there are goofy looking guys out there that are fucking nerds. Why is every nerd got to be basically a good looking, actually like?
No, I'll give it this: that Aaron Tyler Johnson,
because he's a little awkward. Andrew Garfield is the worst. That dude's like straight up hot in those movies.
No, the kid who plays Kick-Ass in this first movie, at least. He looks like a fucking nerd.
I'm sorry.
We're 17.
Only because I know that he's the guy from Godzilla now. Can I look at him and be like, oh yeah, he's a tough guy? But in this
he grew into himself, and you know,
he sucks in his movie in terms of acting. But if you see Nocturnal Animals, that motherfucker can act.
He's also in like Savages with what's his name?
That movie's shit.
I also think his portrayal of Quicksilver is underrated. So what's up?
I like this.
All right, so let's go into the ratings phase because we're kind of like dragging a little bit, but hey, if you complain that this podcast is too long, just do what Brian does and read this podcast to your kid, before he goes to bed, 15 minutes at a time, and then, you watch the whole hour and a half. Done.
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Kick-Ass?
Hard 7, yeah.
I'll probably be the highest on here, like a 7.6, 7.5 for me.
If you'd have asked me before I watched it again, I'd have probably given it like a 4, but it's probably more like a 6.
Oh, that's fair. I'll give it 7 mofongos out of 10.
So are Rotten Tomatoes fresh.
That's fine.
We consider Kick-Ass to be fresh.
It's fresh.
Slap that on the DVD.
So, all right. So next week is actually TJ's. What movie do you have for us, TJ?
Yeah, guys. So unfortunately, I'm going to shy away from the horror genre from right now, even though our next episode is in October. I'm going to pick something that is from Ohio. So it has something for everybody. Brian, it has a nice story about a kid going to a new school. You can show your son maybe just like, how to make friends, stuff like that, whenever if he has to go to an upper school. Joe's got a great love story, so you and Laura can actually watch together. Jusef, it's got a Spanish person in it. That's about all I can give to you. But guys, we're going with the classic Airborne.
I love Airborne.
This is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I really want to talk about this.
I love Airborne.
I've never seen Airborne, guys.
Josh McDermott. Guys, I can't wait to talk about that.
Sounds horrible.
I love Airborne.
I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, any movie that's already been done on how did this get made is definitely like...
Yo, Airborne, I like that you have the DVD. Airborne's the shit. It's in Cincinnati. So it makes no goddamn
sense.
Joe,
you're the guy, so find us a free copy on the internet so we can know how to pay.
Whoa. No.
And
we're going to buy and give the money to the producers and the director and the actors.
Because the lead actor does not... This is the last movie the lead actor ever did.
The woman, the girl, the love interest in this is Vern Troyer. Vern Troyer's like ex-wife or like long-term girlfriend.
One from a sex tape? Is that?
Yes.
No, not from the sex tape. Just
yes. All right, that's a great way to end this show. So make sure to watch Airborne before the next episode, and also Vern Troyer's sex tape.
And we'll be watching throughout the month our horror films.
Yeah, everybody keep up on that horror franchises so we can have we can continue this discussion at the end of the month.
Brian, now that you're talking, just tell us where we can find you and say goodbye.
You know where you can find me, baby. You can find me on Twitter at Hercules. You can also search the DVD Bunker, or just don't put the in front of it. Probably just search DVD Bunker. Search that anywhere where you listen to podcasts, and you'll find my channel where every other week I release a DVD Bunker, which is me and a co-host talking about a movie from my collection. Also, I release these Flyover State of Film, so you can subscribe to that and get all the sweet content. And aside from that, TJ, I think you're next.
Yes, guys, you are on Movie Squad now. If you're watching this, if not, you can catch us on Stitcher. I'll put the links in the bottom. Other than that, you can catch me on Odd Shape Panel doing From Code to Script, episode 1 with Billy Polahan talking Street Fighter. Next episode with Ashley Davis talking Mortal Kombat. So definitely check those out. And guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Yo.
You could find me at Chandang01 on Twitter, being mediocre, and catch me on the DVD Bunker every week. This is my channel, watching DVDs.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jusef from whyilovemovies.com. You can check out my reviews there, and I will just, butcher the English language a little bit more. But thank you, and see you next week.
In writing, though, you sound so eloquent,
I know. I can really fake it. Bye.
Bye.